Today we're going to be looking at rich people who make me feel broke.
Ayo, my best friend's rich check.
Is that an alligator I just seen? And gold toilets? Whenever people talk about money, there's new money and old money. That is wealthy. That isn't like a typical $1 million home. That's like a $10-20 million home. That looked like a palace. Per alligator let it out. Okay, so whenever I open up the comments, I thought everyone was going to be talking about how beautiful the house was. All the comments were about the alligator. Is it a real alligator? Is it like a mummified one? I hope they don't literally have a real alligator in their home. Why do all rich houses have different kinds of breeds for pets? Just adopt more cats and dogs then. Because that's not what rich people do. You know, rich people have lots of dogs and cats. And then they get bored of it, so they start getting monkeys. Does anyone else remember when Michael Jackson literally used to walk around with a monkey? Have you not seen all the rich Arabs and they have little monkeys hanging around with them? They have monkeys and tigers. Multi-millionaires and billionaires don't have cats and dogs. They've got monkeys, alligators, and tigers.
In London especially, like, luxury cars is like the norm. Like, people will drive luxury cars on like salaries that aren't very high.
Not just in London. I was walking home from work the other day and I kid you not, about 4 Teslas drove by me. I'm not very up to date with cars, however, I can look at a car and tell it's expensive.
Because it's like, well, I've got to prove to people that I've got a job. I've got to prove to people that I have something. So this is the car I'm going to drive. And so I think just one that like trying to prove a point to yourself and not really dealing with some of the money traumas you might have from growing up is one thing. I even remember I was watching a vlog like of someone and she was saying that when she was younger, her mum always used to make them ration toilet paper. And so now that she's older, she always buys like an abundance of toilet paper because she just remembers that trauma of like, you know, like, don't be so like frivolous with the toilet paper. We don't have much, you know, and then that kind of trauma kind of stays with you. And now you go overboard because of like
to compensate.
Yeah, to compensate
That's what
for it,
happens
right?
to a lot
So
of people
I think
whenever they
there's that,
start to get
and
money.
also like I think lifestyle inflation is like a big killer of the path to wealth, because if you don't increase that gap between how much you're earning and how much you're saving, you're never really going to change your situation. And even working in banking, right? You would think that I thought going into banking that, oh, these people here, like they are making the money. And then during my internship, I'm literally like, so we're doing like, they always do these like socials, you know, these socials that you do in corporate, right? And to like convince the interns to come back or whatever. But towards the end of the night, they kind of forget that you're there and they're just drinking. And then, you know, the truth starts coming out and they're having this conversation about money. And I'm like, these are like the VPs, the executive directors, and they're still complaining about money. They're still saying that they don't have enough money and they're not getting paid enough and they don't have enough money to
They also
send this
get
person to
taxed a
school
hell
and
of a lot.
all of these things. And I'm like, wow, like you are earning so much more than everyone that I've grown up with. And you're still having the same complaints about money. And that's lifestyle inflation. Like you've increased, you earn significantly more than the average population in the UK, which earn like 30K. These people are earning like 200K a year, and this is in pound, 200K a year, 250K a year plus, right? Not even including bonuses. And you're still complaining about money. And that's lifestyle inflation, like in full effect.
Also, something that you're not told about whenever it comes to earning money is that whenever you get a bigger salary, you pay a lot in tax. They might be earning £200,000 a year, but they're losing 45-50% of it to tax. They also don't have to keep up a lifestyle because they feel the pressure to do that. They also probably live in a big city like London. That doesn't surprise me that they all fake a lifestyle and complain about money, because the reality is a lot of them are broke. People will drive luxury cars without a salary. I was actually having a conversation with somebody about this recently, and I didn't realize how cheap luxury cars were to purchase, or not purchase, rent. Did you know you could literally rent a luxury car for a month and it not be too expensive? Now, in my head, I was thinking it would be like 10-20,000 to rent it for a month. Some of them are literally like less than £100 a day, I think. Now, I know £100 is definitely a lot. However, people will rent out a car for a month and then get a new one the next month, so it makes it look like they've got all these expensive cars. And then as well, you can literally rent houses for a day, even for an hour. That's what all the influencers in America do. In our last rich people video, we were looking at this woman and it looks like she's made a return.
Also, I know you guys think I'm out of touch, but my friend the other day, he like texted me. He currently lives in like OC, and he's like, I'm thinking about moving to New York City. And you know me, I'm like, hell yeah, do it. Like, I would love for you to be in the city. And he's like, yeah, but my budget's kind of low. And I'm like, well, how low are we talking? You know, I'm thinking he meant like, my budget's like 7, 8, 9, 10K. Yeah. And I'm like thinking, oh, you can get like a decent sized place for that. Like, yeah, I hate this man. Because my budget's like 25 to like 30K.
30,000 a month or a year?
Sir, hello. I was like, I think you're gonna be more than okay if your budget is 25 to like 30K for rent.
A
I'm
month?
Like thinking like, oh, like 25 to 30K for like the whole month, like spending wise. He goes, no. But yeah, I was like, you're gonna be fine. Like, for rent, you're
Well,
good.
duh, of course he'd be fine. Sorry, did you say 30k a month for rent? That's what I'm thinking. In my area, you can literally rent houses for £700-800 a month. So you could rent a house for basically 4 years and pay the same amount that he pays for 1 month rent in New York City. What type of apartment are you getting for £30,000 a month? Are you trying to rent the whole of Trump Hotel? Genuine question, but why not buy a place at that point instead of spending so much in rent every month? This is a big issue whenever it comes to rent, because a lot of times whenever you pay rent in a place, you're actually paying more than what a mortgage would be. I was having another chit chat with somebody recently and they pay like $700 a month for their house. If they got a mortgage, it would be about $500. Because they can't get a down payment, they have to rent and they can't mortgage it. Then to think of it, the apartment he's renting, which is 30k a month, which is about $360,000 a year, how much would that cost to buy? Probably 30 million.
What's the most out of touch thing you heard from rich people? 1. A coworker asked me what bank I used for my safe deposit box. I said I didn't have a safe deposit box. She said, "But where do you keep your jewels then?" 2.
Jules.
While working for a valet parking service in the Santa Barbara area years ago, a woman hired us for a jewelry showing she was having at her giant house in Montecito. And while we were waiting for guests to arrive, my boss informed me that when the guests get in their cars to leave, that I needed to be sure to close their car doors or else they would just drive off with their doors open, as they're so used to people closing their car doors for them. 3. Being told by a guy who has not worked a day in his life and living off of inherited money, that poor people are poor because they don't invest their money right. 4.
Right.
I needed a
typical.
bicycle to get to a new job. Found someone online selling a really nice bike for cheap, so got in touch. Took 2 trains to their house to buy the bike, and when I got there it was a mansion. The bike was in a garage full of supercars and classics. They asked me where my truck was to load the bike on. When I told them I was riding the bike home, they laughed, and before I knew it, everyone in the house had been called to the garage to hear how I was riding the bike 3 hours home in the dark. No one offered me a lift, they just acted blessed at how they didn't have to do such things. 5. When they tell me I should just take off and go somewhere for a week. Even if I made the money,
Yeah, as if
I'd
that's
be eating the time
possible.
itself from the no PTO I get. 6. During the pandemic, senior management held company-wide calls about mental health and well-being. One piece of advice always stuck with me. They suggest to stop the tedium of working in the same space, to move your desk to another room in your house. I had a choice between facing different walls. 7. My boss at the time made between 5 to 10 times more than I did. We were talking about big purchases like a car or a house, and he says something along the lines of, "Well, you'll get a great deal since you'd all cash purchaser." I just kind of smile and nod, knowing that, on my salary that he was aware of, I was not even an all-cash purchaser of groceries.
Yeah.
8. How could your family accountant let that happen? When talking about how growing up, we couldn't pay the bills and had our water and electricity shut off multiple times. 9. If you can't afford childcare, just hire a nanny. We love ours. 10. I was between jobs and a bunch of my friends told me that I should take the time to go travel the world. Like, just because someone doesn't have a job, doesn't mean they can just up and travel the world. In fact, the opposite is more likely, but also you idiots thought the reason I wasn't traveling the world was because I hadn't thought of it?
What I got from that video is basically rich people will never ever be able to relate to poor people. Or not necessarily rich people, but rich kids. Kids who have very rich parents. That video right there was about 3 minutes worth of entitlement. Some of that was shocking. So the bike one, we're supposed to believe a family with a mansion and multiple supercars spend their time online to sell their old bike. How do you think rich people stay rich? Put it this way, they probably viewed it as an investment. You know, they bought the bike, they use it, and they don't want it anymore. They're gonna sell it off and make a wee bit of profit. One time someone told me you can't live off a $100,000 salary. I kind of understand what they mean, and let me explain. I'm not sure what the taxes are like in America, but let's say you live in London. You would lose about 45% of that to tax. So after tax, you have 55,000. If you live in London, rent there is what, like £2,000 a month? That's 20,000 going to rent. You also will probably put money into savings, money into food, etc. Now, a lot of times whenever people have a bigger salary, they like spend a lot more money, which if you remember a few videos ago, the richer people talking about being broke and not having money, that's what it could be like in London. However, if you move to somewhere like Northern Ireland, you would be a millionaire. See, in Northern Ireland, the average salary before tax is around about 25,000 I think, or maybe 20 to 28,000. If you're making $100,000, what's that in pounds? Like £80,000. You're doing 4 times better than the average Northern Irish citizen. I cleaned for a lady that was surprised that we decorate our Christmas tree together. She's always paid for someone to decorate it or bought a pre-decorated tree. That's quite sad though, isn't it? Because I feel like whenever it comes to decorating a Christmas tree, it's very intimate. It's fun, you know, you get to decorate it the way you want. It's a blank tree to start off with and then you add your decoration. If you pay somebody to decorate it for you, that's boring. It's kind of like whenever you see these rich houses and they're all so boring and bland. They've got no life in them.
Okay, so I needed my EpiPen, my life alert, my pearls was clutched. Besties, put your seatbelts on because we're in for a ride. All right, let's break it down. Let's get into it. So starting off, we have this Louis Vuitton scarf. It's $485.
$485.
Louis Vuitton purse for $700.
Christ.
Okay, so next we have this Louis Vuitton trunk. It looks like it's $11,100. What is that? Oh, it's a Louis Vuitton.
Okay, so we're £20,000 in already.
And then this bag chain is $600. We have another purse. It looks like the purse will be for $8,224. And then another purse, just different color, $8,224. And then this bag is $8,402. These Louis Vuitton sandals are $1,080, and then these Louis Vuitton shoes are $1,228. We have another Louis Vuitton scarf for $485. Louis Vuitton shoes for $915. Another
that's the third.
And
They'll look the same.
$220. All right, now moving on to Chopard, honey. Chopard, period. $6,800 for that bracelet. This necklace will be what? $15,100. This ring is $3,700, and then this bracelet is $16,200. And then this bag is like $1,000 or something. This bracelet's $11,800. And then we got the Rolly, and the Rolly, oh, look at it, is $19,200. So our grand total is $124,578, and that's not even everything. So
what is she doing in exchange for all of these lavish gifts? Guys, she literally sleeps with rich Arab and Central Asian men. Her mum encourages her to do these things, and it's all over the Romanian media news. Yeah, so a lot of times whenever you see a woman like her, and this isn't to be misogynistic, but they usually are prostitutes. She could be a businesswoman, maybe she is, she's running a brothel. However, being a prostitute does come with a very big salary, and obviously she likes to spend her salary. How do people have this much money? We came to the answer a few seconds ago, and it's the fact that her mother encourages her to do it, and it's all over news. What type of mother does that? Well, anyways, guys, we'll leave that video there. That's some insane rich people. If you want to see me look at more wealthy people, let me know, definitely will. First, figure, subscribe, and see you all tomorrow for another video.